What is going on, moms and dads? Welcome to the latest episode of the Fade You podcast. We are recording on Wednesday, October 11th, and today we are previewing NFL Week 6 already as we get near mid-October. Matt here with Kmart, with Joe, with Chris Duke, and thanks everybody for joining us. Get our YouTube link on the Twitter bio at Fade You Sports. We are going to make sure we get all our shows on YouTube. Once I have, I'm just so tired from grading papers all the time. I'm just so exhausted and tired from grading papers. So once that's done, I will figure out a way to get all our shows on the YouTube channel. So make sure you get on there and subscribe to that and like our videos. We would appreciate that very much. So, all right, dads, let's get into NFL Week 6. How's everybody doing? Kmart is home alone with the baby. What the hell are you going to do with
starting tomorrow? The wife's still here. We're gonna go out to dinner after this, and then Todd's actually picking her up for the airport in the morning because it's super early and the baby will be asleep. So yeah, looking forward to some nights alone, watching football, eating things. I don't know. I want to get some wings, get fat.
God forbid you have a beer or two.
I don't know what those are, Joe. I only drink vodka.
Okay, point taken.
All right, well, I'm excited for you, Dad, to be alone with the baby. That'll be some good bonding time for you guys.
Yeah, it should be.
Joe, how you doing? You want to plug Ham and Cheese? How you guys are 4 episodes in now? How's that been going?
It's been going great, man. We just got a sponsorship for the show, selling some hats and bullshit. Yeah, dude, it's been good. It's been good, growing fast. Joey and I, or AKA Cheese, we vibe well, so it's been good.
Excellent. Everybody should check that out. We'll make sure we get those loaded to the YouTube channel as well. Chris Duke, how you doing today, Dad? Nice 4-1 last week, Father.
Good, Father. Beautiful day. Can't complain, early October. I'm sad that it's going to start getting darker earlier because, love my afternoon golf up until 6, 7 o'clock in the evening. Joe and I would catch some Friday. But, it's that time of year, so it's fine.
At least we don't roll the clock back, right?
We do,
I think
in November.
Yeah, like a few weeks.
I thought we nixed that shit.
No.
I wish. Arizona.
Fuck.
I think the props are to give the state the ability to nix it. And I don't think we want to give the state government more power. Yeah, I don't think we're quite ready for that yet. So yeah. Anyways, irregardless, that's another argument for another day. So all right, I want to start with this because here's when I think about the NFL right now. I keep coming back to I watch the 49ers on Sunday Night Football. Pretty much no argument, best team in the NFL right now. I think that's pretty widely agreed upon. And they beat the absolute fuck out of the Dallas Cowboys, who's probably like a top 5-6 team in the league. So if there's much of a gap between the best team and like 5th or 6th best team, then what in the fuck is the gap between the best team and the worst teams? And you're looking around the league right now and you're seeing not bad football. You're seeing incompetent football a month and a half into the season. And Chris, I want to start with you because you have a soft spot in your cold black heart for scum, for poop. What do you have to say for these teams that can't play a competitive 60 minutes, can't get first downs? It's bad out there, Dad. What do you have to say for the worst teams in the league right now? Are we just ignoring those altogether, or is there any value in looking at these sides?
Yeah, Matt, you're the one that played one of those scum. Was it last week? Yeah, you took the 10 with the Panthers. So
yeah, that was
my
fun.
partner and Freck and I have kind of avoided those big spreads. We didn't mess with the stupid Giants against the Niners when it was 14 or 15. We've just been kind of staying in that middle, that 5, 6, 7 dead number of 5, and it's been so. Yeah, it's crazy. I mean, look at tomorrow night. So The Broncos were getting destroyed by the Bears all game until the comeback. The Bears were catching 13 in KC, got absolutely demolished. But yet this game tomorrow night's 10.5, 11. You're telling me that the Broncos are 2-3 points better than the Broncos or than the Bears, who they were just playing with neck and neck. What is it? Is 2 or 3 points worth it just because it's a division rival? I don't know. It's disgusting. I'm probably going to have to hold my nose and do it tomorrow because we love our double-digit road division doggies. But I don't know, Matt. It's a great question because the scum has just been getting absolutely blitzed. And the Panthers, again, are in the same position as the Giants last week, catching almost.
You look at the Panthers catching, are we at 13.5 there? I think we're 13.5.
13.5.
The God-forsaken New York Giants catching 14 on Sunday Night Football. I know we all can't wait to watch that in Buffalo. I mean, it's brutal out there right now. I mean, Joe, when you just assess this NFL landscape, I mean, you got all these shit teams. You got this massive middle where it seems like a bunch of teams are kind of the same, and then you have just a few good teams, and that's about it. What stands out when you survey all this?
The fact that the squares are cashing a lot of tickets right now. I read something on Twitter. It was like teams getting over 50% of the tickets are 62% ATS, which means all the square motherfuckers out there so far have been building their bankroll, and we'll see what happens here. It better change quick, otherwise we're all going to be poor.
It's interesting you say that because this season, I've really tried to put a lot of that off to the side this year. Like, who's Den on? Who's Trent on? Who are the squares on? I've ignored that more this season than I have any other season. Like I said, I was on Miami last week because I use my eyeballs and I watch the teams play and I say, okay, I have Miami who can score touchdowns and get 25 yards whenever they want to. And I have the New York Football Giants who can't get first downs, can't block, allow 11 sacks to Seattle. And I see 90% of the tickets on Miami. And I'm not going to not do it because it's square or it's public. I know for me personally, I've ignored that and I've not let that influence the way that I'm handicapping games so far. And maybe you're right, Joe. Maybe it will swing and maybe the sharps will start to take over the season. But for now, the bet percentages, people, I mean, sorry, the popular ones are hitting. I don't know what else to say. Kmart, you're kind of.
Joe touched on it the most last year with him and Jared being so flexible with throwing in a couple faves and the dogs. You have to. I mean, I know the Jets seem like kind of a square dog this week. You guys were like, what made you do it? Riley liked it. Hey, it ended up fucking hitting. You can't always, I mean, you have to take the mindset. And Matt, I'm assuming you had the mindset, look, if the fucking Giants beat me, then the Giants fucking beat me, right? You just have to live with it. You go, I know it's a square play, whatever, so be it. I think it's the right side. I think they destroy them. And you have to do that. It's going to happen weekly. We always know there's typically a dog or two that'll shock, and then there are those ones that are just going to fucking do what they're supposed to and handle business. And if you can pick those right ones, that's what, being consistent, picking and in the contest, try to be 3-2, stuff like that.
And Kmart, I want to get you in on this too, because you sat here on last week's show and gave a great handicap for the Jets against the Broncos. And then when I'm putting the graphic together on Sunday morning, I'm like, all right, what's everybody on? And Kyle's like, yeah, I don't know if I'm going to do Jets anymore because it feels really trendy. And I'm like, fuck you. You sat here on our pod last week and made the case for it. And now you're not even going to bet it yourself. So I had to give Kmart a little nudge. I think he ended up betting on it.
I ended up playing it.
You texted me later and you were like, thank you
bullshit
for
ass. The fuck we doing here?
Me silly.
I give credit where it's due. I think Big Red for keeping me off his bills would have lost that one. Would have lost money to Chris. He wanted to bet me head to head on that. But yeah, I'm literally removing people from Twitter because I'm just like, there's just too much noise, and I'm getting probably where you were last year, where it didn't used to affect me, but I'm just seeing like too many people on this, people I respect on opposite sides, and it's like, fuck, like you just got to, at the end of the day, trust yourself and live with the outcome instead of worrying about what someone else is doing.
Shit, Chris could learn a lesson from that statement right there.
I know. I think that's so well said. Honest to God, that's something I talk to my students about all the time. I'm like, you guys live in a time where there is so much information everywhere through the internet. And at some point, you have to tune all of that out and critically think for yourself, and not just fade the public, and not just pick what someone else is on, like Kyle said. So I think it's challenging. It's hard to do that because you want to know, like, you don't know if you're right. So you want to have someone else sort of confirm what you're thinking.
Or you get FOMO. You just don't want to miss an easy winner. And then you end up just getting bankrolled.
Yeah, it's funny as fuck because Kelly sends us sometimes these little things that, like, DraftKings, 99, they're all props. 99% of the money's on over 62.5 yards. I think she sent us a million. Joe and I joke because, like, we fired a few and we're like, we think we're owing fucking a million fading this. You think, oh, okay, it's got to hit, right? One time the public's going to die. But those props have just been cashing. It's like you can't just, it is what it is. You got to trust those people see free money, and it kind of was. So.
Wasn't one of those two the Dak Prescott interception on Sunday Night Football? 99% on over for him to throw an interception.
Daniel Jones throwing one. Then DJ Moore over yards, and he had 850 yards in the first quarter.
Laporta over yards. He cashed it in one play. Just absolute horseshit. Yeah, it's just like, hey, free money here, apparently.
Yeah.
Well, that, and to your point, Matt, too, like, you got to remember, like, you could find a trend for any fucking thing you want to bet on the board. It doesn't matter what side you're on. So just be smart enough to pick and choose what side you want to be on, and live with the consequences. Because, I mean, we know we're dumb. So self-awareness is a good thing.
Self-awareness is a good thing, and you're never going to out information the books. Like, you just always remind yourself you are not as smart as the people who are making the lines and are making money off of our dumbasses for a living. So that's a good reminder. All right, let's get into some picks. Chris, you went 4-1 last week. We got a lot of scum on the board this week. Where do you want to go with one of your picks?
I'm going to go with nice. Yeah, might as well crack a cold one, Matthew. I'm going to go with I kind of feel like I got the vibe, we always talk about, man, we can't figure this fucking team out. It's nice to have a team where you've kind of rode them and then you faded them. And I feel like that's a team that we've done that with Falcons the last couple of weeks. And I think they laid a couple points or 1.5 against, we got that lucky W, Matt, you and I, against Houston. That was lucky. They last second kick with Koo. And I just think it might be a little inflated after how disgusting the Commanders looked on Thursday night against the Bears, getting their asses kicked. I like them as a short little road dog there. Would love the +3. I think it's sitting at 2.5 right now, but I don't think the Commanders are as bad as they looked. We obviously know they're pretty competitive. They almost, Riverboat Ron is not Riverboat Ron anymore. More like fucking conservative puss Ron. I don't know why I didn't go for 2, but I think that they are feisty. I know Ritter's never lost a fucking home game at Cincy or Falcons, and that's why we rode him last week. We know he'd come back at home, and he had a pretty decent performance, but hopefully the Commanders can get to him this Sunday.
There's one of those trends that Joe likes, right? Like if you're wanting the Falcons this week, you're going to default to, Ritter's never lost a game at home. Isn't that kind of your point, Joe?
It's quite literally the dumbest fucking trend in the history of the world. It's like, either this guy is literally the best quarterback in the history of the world and will never lose at home, or he's like every other goddamn quarterback and he's going to lose whatever percentage of games at home, which is what's going to fucking happen. I don't know about this week, but I'm just saying long term. It'd be stupid to use that trend over 1 week.
I like in the chat there, I like dipshit Ron. Thanks, Chris. That's my brother chiming in with dipshit Ron.
Speaking of dipshits, what about Arizona's coach Saturday night not going for 2?
That was my thought too. I said Riverboat Ron and Jed Fish.
Yeah.
Oh man, that was so
unreal. Unreal the badge that we saw last week.
Yeah, 21-point dogs. The fuck? What do you have to lose? Who gives a shit?
Yeah, especially when you're 1 overtime away from being forced to go. It's like, what's the difference?
I don't know if this is true, but I heard that he may not have known the overtime rules.
Yeah, because didn't he sent out his kicker or whatever, so he didn't know.
Yeah.
Then he's probably a USC fan because everyone behind me didn't know the rules either, and I just kept yelling how stupid they are and to go home.
USC fans stupid? No way.
Yeah, they're the worst fans. I hate them.
All right, let's get back to this Washington pick because this is pretty much textbook Chris Duke. Take a team that got shit blasted last week by a team that everyone agreed was horrible and arguably the worst team in the league. And Chris is going to go right back on them the following week on the road. Joe, what do you think of this one?
I don't have a huge opinion. I mean, I lean the same side as Chris. What kind of scares me is there's a shitload of tickets on the Falcons too. That line went from 3.5 to 2.5, so it's a little scary. I don't like that movement, but catching less than is it 2.5 now, right? Or what is it in contest? Do we know?
We'll know tomorrow morning. I assume it's going to be 2.5.
Yeah, I would lean Chris's side for sure. Teams just got smoked. 2 shit quarterbacks. Take the one at home, right? That never loses.
Chris, how about just a quick note on that line move? So, I know you, but most people would see if that line, if they're not going to get the 3 or 3.5, they'll just not bet it. But you actually probably like it better because it's under 3, right? Do you want to say why that is?
Yeah, I mean, last year, I don't know how advantageous that was in the contest. I know, Vegas does it and Joe mentioned too, sometimes, or I think it was Kmart too, one time when the Bengals it didn't work out, but the line, there was a ton of action on the Ravens, right? But they didn't come off 3.5. You're thinking, why isn't it coming down to 3? But, you just think the books are taking a stand, even though, they're getting, I'm seeing more split action. But if the line, like Joe said, if it came down a hair, that means maybe there's a little bit more money. I know I heard Simon Hunter said he talked to a few of his professional sharp guys. They like that spot too. So we'll see. Yeah, it just means the books, they're not afraid to not give the 3. They're kind of telling people, go ahead, lay less. All they got to do is win by a field goal, right? So I tend to like that.
All right, so Chris is going on the Washington Football Group, Commanders, Redskins, whatever the fuck you want to call them. Sam Howell, good luck with that. Joe, let's get you in here for a pick. You weren't here with us last week. Jared, unfortunately, gave out Chris's Rams, which was a loser. So Jared was benched this week. Joe's back. So, Joe, what are you guys looking at?
I mean, our whole contest is a loser right now. It's a full fade. If anybody was wondering, just like I predicted it would be before the season. But, we're going to, for me, the snap call Cowboys. They're against the Chargers on Monday Night Football. Cowboys coming off an embarrassing L. Hopefully they stayed in the West Coast. Now they're going to go down to LA, play a home game against the Chargers. That's going to be 85% Cowboys fans laying the small number 2. I think as road dogs or road faves here. I think Cowboys exponentially better defense, and the Cowboys have proven they can play from the front. If they can get a lead, I think they run away with this thing. Not by a touchdown, but they're going to, I trust Staley to do stupid shit and the Cowboys defense to shut them down.
This is a tough one for me and my group. So we've kind of simplified this, and our initial approach to these matchups is, all right, does one side have a clown and does the other side not have a clown? Because there's a lot of clowns in the NFL these days. And so this is a tough one for me when you have Mike McCarthy and Dak Prescott, who are clowns, against Brandon Staley, who is also a clown. So I don't have a great read on this one. I do think it's a good point to not downgrade Dallas too much after they just match up poorly with San Francisco. I mean, we've seen that for 3 years in a row now. Kmart, you watched the Cowboys get the shit kicked out of them Sunday night. Do you think Joe's onto something here, going back on them after that Niner game?
Yeah, no, for sure. I mean, it crossed my mind too for the exact same reason, but he's better at it than I am. I just can't cheer for the Cowboys. Like I won't bet it because I will be cheering for the Chargers because I want to see this team go to 3-3 and call for Dak. Like, I mean, Mike McCarthy's got to go. Like last year, I mean, I think he's clearly holding this team back too, just as much as Dak. But it's for a good football team, they're not that good. Like it was quite humbling, even as a fan, to just watch that. Like, yeah, we had some breaks go our way, some things, this and that, but I mean, I think I texted Joe when it was 7-0. I was like, dude, I think this is going to be a blowout. You know, you could just see it in the first 3 drives of each team. It's like, unless Purdy gets hurt or there's a big turnover swing.
Don't say that.
I don't see that happening. That was last game. I'm not talking about the future.
Hey, you did get some. You got a lot of Sam Darnold action in that game. With
Dude,
that being,
and you know what's funny? I'm watching him and I'm like, man, it doesn't look right. Bring back Purdy. I don't like this. He's so damn big. I like Purdy. I can relate to him more. He's about my size.
Oh, I love that. What was I going to ask Chris about this Cowboy game?
Yeah. This too, for me, is just a big fade on the Chargers because they haven't done dick this season. They've beaten the shitty ass Vikings and the shitty ass Raiders. They lost to the Titans and they gave up approximately 1 billion yards to the Dolphins, which, I mean, everybody else has, but their defense is fucking horrible. So I'm thinking that the Cowboys are going to score enough and then shut them down on offense to be able to cover that spread. I mean,
So
honestly, I think it's too low. I think it should be Cowboys -3.
So I hear you, Joe, and I think it's fair to question the Chargers. But one of the reasons I was on the Niners last week is because look who else Dallas is. Dallas has played Daniel Jones in week 1, Zach Wilson in week 2, Josh Dobbs in Arizona in week 3, and they lost to them. And then they played fucking Mac Jones and the Patriots in week 4. So once they play a real fucking good team, they get absolutely dismantled. So I think it's fair to question the Chargers and their resume, but I think you also have to question, to Kyle's point, like, how good is Dallas actually?
I don't think they're a top 5 or 6 team like you said, Matt. I put them closer to 10 or worse, but I don't know. Yeah, this might be one of those games. Remember that game that week with Vikings and Chargers, and we said that was one where, like, who the fuck? What are you going to get out of this bullshit? This is one of those ones too. It's kind of funny. It's on Monday Night Football. I don't know. I mean, Mr. Guy that rhymes with fucking hen is going to get me on this game, and that's about it.
Oh God, you're still doing that. I like what my brother said in the comments that Kellen Moore takes a shit on McCarthy after the game. I don't know if that's actually going to happen, but hey, we saw the Hackett revenge thing last week. Like, that clearly mattered to the Jets, right? Like that was something that motivated them. Like, they made Hackett a captain. Robert Saleh goes up to Sean Payton after the game and says, "Stay humble." I mean, that was just phenomenal from the Jets. And so Kellen Moore gets dismissed by McCarthy in Dallas because McCarthy thinks he can do it better himself. I don't know. Maybe that is something that the Chargers can kind of rally around this guy. Is that going to matter? I have no idea. But it is an interesting one worth pointing out.
Can't you just see the Chargers being up by like 3 on their own 25 and then going for it on 4th and 1 with like a minute and a half left, not getting it, and then Dallas scores a touchdown to cover the spread and win?
100%. I could see both teams being in that scenario because they both, they both find hilarious ways to blow games.
I think McCarthy's dumb, but he won't do stupid shit like that.
Yeah, that is.
He knows Jerry Jones would fire. Jerry Jones would fire his ass on the spot. I don't think he does stupid shit like Staley.
Yeah, Staley he might be in a talk about tiers of clowns. He might be
Is he
in a
the worst
tier all
coach
to
in
his
the
own.
NFL right now?
I might put McDaniel over him for sure.
Oh, yeah. Josh is having a rough
pretty
time right
dumb.
now.
Sick kick, 652-yard kick.
Ugh.
I mean, after the debacle a couple weeks ago about kicking a field goal down 8, and then to do that and just do everything in your power to give the game to the other team, and they just wouldn't take it.
Yeah, I don't know.
Wild. All right, Kmart, let's get you in here with a pick.
Oh boy. So I really got my eyes on the London game, and
Wow.
I know, shocker. So the Ravens are getting in early. I heard the Titans are coming in Thursday, and we all know how well it came for the Bills getting in there super late to London with that time change. They looked like they were still asleep in the first half. So I'm really hoping this line comes back down towards 3.5. I feel like anybody's majority is going to take Titans over a field goal. They just love Vrabel and that defense. That's not the same defense as 3 years ago for whatever reason, but that's all I ever fucking hear on the few podcasts I listen to is, oh, Vrabel and 3.5. Oh, that's a lock. They're always in a field goal game. I mean, I don't know how many of us watched that Ravens-Steelers game. Chris,
oh my God,
tip your hat to you, but I mean, I think we all know like the Ravens should have won that game by a fuck ton. 7 to 10 drops, depending on what you count. A couple of them touchdowns. So I think they're going to be focused. And honestly, it probably doesn't even matter to 3.5 or 4. They should win this game by 10, but it would just make me feel more comfortable from a backdoor perspective to get a slightly better number. But that's where I'm really looking. That's where I kind of see the most, like the best angle edge so far.
Yeah, Chris, what do you feel about this one? Because you were on Pittsburgh last week, and like Kyle said, hats off to you. You picked a winner, although I'm not sure it should have been a winner. So if you're really honestly looking at that game and that result and how you handicapped that one, do you think Kyle's onto something? Is this just like the Ravens let one slip away, and so you want to be willing to go right back on them the next week?
Yeah, I think someone said they had like 170 yards worth of drops and a couple touchdowns, like Kyle said. Yeah, I don't know. This is one of the ones. I don't know why. Obviously, Freck and I played the Jags in the contest last year. I try to avoid the London games. I just thought it was a great spot after the destruction of Miami. This one, I'm just, I feel like Kyle's right. I think it is kind of one of the more trendier dogs this week. Like, that is a big thing. Vrabel as a dog, how good his record is and stuff like that. And people saw, Lamar kind of do what he did. I mean, throw that bad interception late, in the red zone and stuff like that. So I don't know. I'd probably lean Ravens, but this one I just, and I know favorites do tend to do a little better over in London. I think they're pretty good, at least straight up wise over the last 5 to 10 years. So, but I'm not going to.
How'd that work out for the Bills?
Yeah, exactly. Of course, the Jags did great a week before, destroyed Atlanta, and then the Bills get beat outright. So I'm not going to probably do anything with this unless my partner is hell bent on playing this game. I'll probably stay away.
Joe, you got anything on this one? London?
Yeah, I'm on Kyle's side. I like the Ravens. I think the Titans are kind of a square dog, and I think everybody just remembers Vrabel shutting down Lamar in the playoffs. So, yeah, I mean, London games, crazy shit can happen, but like you said, I agree with everything that Kyle said. And then, like you said at the beginning, Matt, like sometimes you got to use your eyeballs rather than just look at all this other bullshit noise that's out there.
All right. Chris, let's do one more quicker round for maybe a few more. Chris, you got one more you got your eye on? If you say New England, I'm going to throw up in my mouth.
Yeah. I'm gonna push for it, but I won't give it out on the pod just because I want to stay hot on the pod. I think it's 4-0 the last few we've done, so let's just try to get a few more winners. I'm gonna go with my boy, and I'll shout out to Ham and Cheese, A or B. I don't know which one's which, but Joey Cheese, East Coast Ham, East Coast Cheesy is on. His favorite is Moneyline plus 140. Obviously, we're not going to Moneyline for the contest. We're going to take the 3. We wish it was 3.5. I think the Sharps nabbed that half point, so it's sitting at 3. But my God, I mean, all this talk about the Lions this week. I mean, follow the money talking about, oh, they're the top 3 or 4 in the NFC now that Dallas is trash. It's all about the Eagles, Lions, and Niners, Super Bowl hopefuls, blah, blah, blah. Huge road home splits and dome outside splits for Goff. I'm going to go ahead and fade him. Bucks are going to be fired up off the bye. And I'm going to go with the home dogs. Go with my boy Cheese and take those Buccaneers.
I'm glad this one got brought up. I think it's a really interesting game. Joe, you got any thoughts on Cheese's Buccaneers with the creamsicle jerseys this weekend?
Yeah, based on just the jerseys, I'm riding the Bucks. But no, yeah, I love that. I love that point that Goff outdoors. I think hopefully the Bucks defense is healthy because last time we watched them, they fucking just it's just not as fun. But yeah, the splits are hot too on Lions Bucks. A lot more money than tickets on the Bucks at home as a home dog. So yeah, I mean, if that defense can play well and slow the Lions down, it'll be fine.
Kmart, you got anything on this one?
I mean, I definitely lean the Bucks side. I probably won't touch it. Like I don't know. I need to kind of see more from both. Like, aren't they both coming off buys?
I mean, the Lions might as well have had a bye last week. They played Carolina.
Yeah, that's right. Forgot about that one.
That was
they were my sweetheart team, and I forgot because it was such a cupcake. But yeah, I don't know. I don't really have much. Like I kind of looked at it and was like, I lean the Bucks. Lions tick back down to 3. Like this morning, it was still 3.5. But I don't know. I think what Joe said, that defense last time, I just can't back them yet. And plus Lions getting back St. Brown.
It's an interesting game because the Lions are off of three in a row blowout wins, I think. Carolina, I mean, I was on Carolina last week. That was fun. I think about after the third Panther fumble, I was like, okay, I think this is a loss. So I think the Lions beat the shit out of the Panthers last week. They beat the shit out of the Packers in Green Bay the week before on Thursday night. And they played somebody else before that they also, I think it was Atlanta. So 3 weeks in a row, the Lions have had pretty easy games. It reminds me a little bit of the Bills last week, where the Bills were off of those 3 big blowout wins in a row over the Raiders and the Commanders and somebody else and the Dolphins. And then they go to London and they're totally flat and they lose to the Jags, who also tried to make a bunch of mistakes in that game. So I think it's a similar spot here where you have Detroit off of 3 kind of big wins for them. Everybody is sucking them off right now. Chris is right. Like, oh, Dallas lost, so maybe Detroit's the 3rd best team in the NFC. You are starting to hear a lot of that. And, I mean, the Lions haven't gotten this much love in a long time. So Baker off a bye. The Bucks been pretty feisty. Other than that Eagles game, the Bucks really haven't looked bad in any game. So I agree. I think they're certainly live here.
Yeah, and there's quite a bit of a difference between the Eagles offense that absolutely pummeled the Bucks and the Lions offense.
Yeah. And I think the Lions offense is very good, but I just don't know that the Lions are in this. They're not in Philly's class, at least not yet.
No.
Joe, how about you got another one that you want to give out that you're looking at?
I don't mind being a homer and laying it with the Niners. Like last week I said, lay 4, lay 7, lay 9, 10, 14, whatever the fuck you want. You're going to win them all. Said that about the Cowboys last week, but this one's square as shit. So I don't know if it'll probably be a homer bet. Shout out Kyle, but yeah, or a perfect teaser leg, right? Just take that puppy down to 0. Start everything off hot Sunday morning.
Chris, it sounds like you can't wait to tease Niners down.
I'm going to have Niners in all my teasers, probably put Eagles in one of them. And like we just said, probably Lions to +3. There's no way they lose by more than a field goal.
All right. Kmart Niners.
This one's weird because of the quarterback thing. Everyone's saying, like, if Watson starts, it's probably going to go back down closer to 5-6 range. And if he doesn't, it's going to go clear up towards 7.5, 8. It's so weird. I don't know. I mean, I think the Browns D is obviously they're extremely decent. They should put more pressure than just Parsons and the Cowboys D line. I don't know. It's gonna, like Kyle said, windy game. I don't know. That AFC North, just like the Pittsburgh, ugly game. Can they make it ugly? Make it a little, kind of like a 17-14 type ugly game. We'll see. Who knows?
Joe, could it be a flat spot for the Niners off of a blowout Sunday Night Football win?
I mean, theoretically, yeah, but this Niner team sure as shit seems to be built a little bit different than most other teams in the NFL. If they wanted to, they could hand the ball off 45 times and probably beat 90% of the teams by a touchdown. So it's like, I don't know, man. And this defense is they're sick. So, if the Browns don't get more than 10 points, I don't think they're covering this spread. What do you think their team total is? Probably like what? 16 and a half.
The game is right now, as of
38.
Wednesday afternoon, 37.
Oh shit. So then what is that math on that? 20.
Don't ask me to do math.
Oh fuck. So what is that?
23-15.
Yeah, so their team total is probably 16 and a half, maybe 15 and a half.
Wow.
I don't know. Either way.
Probably 14 and a half or something.
Yeah, I don't know, man. And the Browns, I don't know. It's a homer bet. I wouldn't play it other than based on I'm going to be rooting for the Niners.
Yeah, we'll see if the contest, when lines come out Thursday morning, we'll see if they just leave it at 7, which is what it's at right now. Do they try to guess Watson might play? They make it 5, 5.5. Do they try to guess he's out?
But how much is Watson truly moving a line?
I mean, I'm not a big Watson fan, but I think over PJ Walker and DTR.
Yeah.
Damn,
a broken Watson versus a DTR or a PJ Walker. PJ Walker covered a couple spreads for us.
What is he? Yeah. XFL? XFL legend PJ Walker?
Yep.
Oh, he did it with the Panthers, didn't he? Or wasn't it the Panthers? What fucking team was it?
Panthers.
Yeah. He covered some spreads for us.
Either way, Donald wasn't cutting it.
I don't like his chances against the Niners defense.
No.
I don't give a shit what the fucking weather is. Play it in a tornado.
Yeah, we'll see. Kmart, you got anything on the Niners? I mean, I think we kind of covered it.
No, I mean, Purdy played at Iowa State, so I mean, he's probably got some fair weather experience in him. I mean, the only question mark, and I think they are going to be run heavy because his velocity obviously isn't like top in the NFL, so maybe he could throw some ducks in the wind. That would be my only angle to play the Browns, with their defense to keep it close. But like I can still see the Niners just absolutely thrashing them with PJ Walker. Like I honestly think they'd be better off with Dorian in there. Like I've seen enough of PJ, and he's not an NFL caliber backup.
Well, is DTR? We don't know shit about him.
Yeah, we don't know. I'd just rather give it to the rookie who looks like he can make a little bit more plays.
To me, it's not worth getting cute and trying to pick the spot where the Niners are going to come back. You don't need to get cute and try to be on the Browns.
No.
Not a time where you want to step in front of the Niners train right now. I mean, it's just...
Yeah, Joe, I think before we're texting Sunday night, and I think before we probably both kind of forgot Watson, out, not out, but he was thinking flat spot. And I mean, he basically relayed what I told him. It's just like, I don't know. Like, he said it perfectly. Like, they're just built different. Offensively, defensively, they're a juggernaut. I mean, whatever my tweet was Sunday night in pure euphoria, like, it's them and everybody else. Like they're the top notch. Like even Philly,
For
I
sure.
wouldn't say is anywhere close.
Just praying for
Yeah.
health. It's the only
Yeah,
thing that's going to be
because
relevant.
this is
If
like
they're healthy,
this is
they
like
might
our
be
spot.
undefeated.
I feel like in years past, this is like a home run spot, right? Blowout, 42-10 win. Browns 500, and had some bad losses. It was 3.5, 4.5, which tends to be like a road bait line, and now it's shooting up with all this injury bullshit. I mean, home dog spot, but yeah, just maybe the Niners are just fucking, like Matt likes to say, never lose again.
They may never lose again.
15 straight regular season games.
Yeah,
That's
and the one
Yeah,
loss.
and if you bet it right now, you can get it under a touchdown. It's crazy.
Yep. Kmart, you got one more. I know you talked about the London game. Any other ones that have your attention that we haven't covered yet?
Yeah, I'm kind of looking at those pesky Jets again. It's kind of something I had my eye on. I think the Eagles covering last week against the Lambs. A lot of people were on those guys, thinking they were going to keep it close or even upset alert. I'm not going to say the Jets are going to upset them, but I mean, this line's gone up to 7 now. I think the same thing last week. Wilson, I know, is the Donkeys defense, but I mean, you can see the confidence in him. That's all he needed. It doesn't matter who it's against. It's still an NFL team. He's getting confidence. He's played better and better the last 3 weeks. Breece Hall's back to full speed. They have a stout defense that I think can slow down this offense. Maybe actually get them to not convert a fourth in a push. And yeah, just make enough plays offensively. If they can convert in the red zone, I think they can easily cover that number. And who knows? Maybe Eagles are on upset alert because there's still secondary issues. But I mean, my angle would be Breece Hall is healthy. If they can keep that ball, give him the rock, and time of possession with that defense, they're going to be in a lot of ball games.
I just can't get out of my mind what happened at the end of the first half with Zach and the mismanagement of the clock and letting time expire, walking to the line of scrimmage, not getting a spike in, not getting a field goal attempt. This to me is clowns versus non-clowns. So I can't. I mean, the Jets have covered 2 in a row. I can't get there and trust them to cover for a third straight week.
Yeah,
I
know.
I think
I remember watching. I was just like, "Hey, like I get a second Lamar Jackson, for the day. Cool." Like honestly, at that point, I was like, "This is an L." But yeah, like his mistake was they should have just ran a play. They ran out of time because he spiked it. If he would have just ran a play, you never know.
Throws it in bounds short of the end zone with no timeouts. Like, terrible. What are you doing? Yeah. You just have to have more awareness in that. So I don't know. You have a really elite team coming in. I think it's Chris. You'd probably agree it's inflated, but man, I just have this. I don't know if I'm willing to agree with Zach Wilson is growing in confidence. Not so sure. We'll see.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, the only good point is maybe that the Jets, I mean, the Eagles aren't that good and they haven't been really poor in the red zone. And that's where the Jets have kind of shined at stopping and holding people like they did even in the Dallas game with that offense. They held them to 3 a lot before the refs blew the whistle 5,000 fucking times on some ticky-tack bullshit. But yeah, the Jets, I mean, they can keep them in games like we saw it against the Chiefs. That defense can step up, even though they only scored 20 points. They cover. We'll see. One of these would be huge for the book if either the Jets or the Browns could win outright. Like Kmart said, I don't know if they'll actually do the upset, but that'll ruin all the teasers and the money line parlays and shit. We'll see which dog will bark. Matt, give us your one. You gave us Giants last week. That was a banger. Let's get the Dolphins.
I'm so tempted to just do Miami again. Like Carolina is so fucking terrible and turns it over 10,000 times a game. It's such a horse and buggy offense that cannot put any drives together. And if Tua doesn't throw a 98-yard pick 6 last week, and they had 2 other fumbles, I think, Miami probably wins that game against the Giants 40-3. And there's no, I cannot imagine Carolina keeping pace with Miami. I'm tempted to do that again. I'm tempted to fade the Giants again. The Giants injury report is staggering right now. A month and a half into the season, I mean, Daniel Jones. It's either him with a fucked up neck or Tyrod Taylor against the Bills that got their ass whipped in London. I mean, fuck, these teams
kind
are
of
so
scary,
bad.
though, is the Bills lost Milano, so their defense has some questions.
They lost 10,000 guys on defense.
It's kind of like backdoor city there, maybe.
Only if the Giants are capable of getting in the back door, which I need to see. I need to see them actually score an offensive touchdown before I'm willing to be scared of them getting in the back door. Oh my God.
Aren't they one of the 3 or 4 teams that hasn't even covered a spread yet?
Correct. And I think Carolina is too.
Yeah.
It's just god awful football. No, so
Modern
in all
day,
seriousness, the one that we didn't bring up, Chris, you and I texted about this. I'm kind of feeling the Colts. I think this is a classic. Jags were +5 last week, and now they were -5 this week. It's got hit down to -4. Of course, Richardson's out. I think Minshew is a very capable backup. By the way, Minshew revenge angle here, going back to Jacksonville with Minshew, the origin of Minshew mania. I'm higher on the Colts than the market seems to be, than Vegas seems to be. I have no idea why the line moved toward Tennessee last week, and it was clearly wrong, and that the Colts took care of business at home, even with Richardson getting knocked out. So I see this as the Colts, they were right there with Jacksonville. I know the Jags ended up winning that game by like 10, but that's a false, misleading final. I mean, Joe, you were on the Colts week 1. That was a horrific bad beat. And so Colt Cock, Chris, for your Colts win total over. I think they're live here against the Jags, who just played 2 games in London.
Road division dog. Gotta like it.
Yes, sir. All right, good show, Dads. We went over a lot of games. 4 Idiots recording Thursday afternoon.
We're trying to figure that out. Hopefully tomorrow at 5, but I'll make a post whenever we line that up.
All right, stay tuned for 4 Idiots for the college preview. Ham and cheese. Joe, are you guys set recording on Tuesdays now?
Mondays or Tuesdays, depends on my travel schedule.
Okay, so ham and cheese earlier in the week, and then the NFL preview on Wednesday. Make sure you're following us at Fade U Sports. Get on that YouTube. We'll get all the good stuff posted there. Chris, remind everybody sometimes what happens when you bet on poop.
You might take Bryce Young or Daniel Jones and get a pick 6 and still take the L.